Most times we all feel child abuse is basically physical violence directed at a child. But child abuse is not just physical violence, it's physical, emotional, or psychological, sexual maltreatment directed at a child, or basically neglect, especially from a parent.
Well done. This one na Mama Future from Future Safe Foundation. And we will carry come today now one fine topic where this our madam we will talk about. And the matter, she said na child abuse, so she will tell us. Your name, my sister.
Okay, my name is HK Jennifer, a student of Human Anatomy from the River State University. I'm going to emphasize more on child abuse, one of the abuse that's kind of neglected today in the society.
Okay. I beg, explain again. When you say child abuse, what do you try to?
Okay. When I talk about child abuse, most times we all feel child abuse is basically physical violence directed at a child. But child abuse is not just physical violence, it's physical, emotional, or psychological, sexual maltreatment directed at a child, or basically neglect, especially from a parent or caregiver. According to the Center for Disease Control, it's said that an estimated amount of 119,000 children are abused yearly.
The child abuse not be only when you carry things, they flog your pikin, and the child abuse. If they abuse your pikin, you don't know. The way they do it and for house, if they abuse your pikin. So many ways they take abuse your pikin. When you only said, you don't know, then abuse with that. And the children plenty where they abuse every day. So my sister, within most of this child abuse, explain the point by point so that some people will know the type of abuse where they abuse their children.
Okay, so basically child abuse can be classified into four. We have physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional or psychological abuse, and neglect. When we talk about physical abuse is physical aggression directed at a child. It can be beating, slapping, kicking, punches, or using sharp objects around on a child. There are some kinds of physical abuse practiced in the world today, which most of us are guilty of, but we don't know is classified as physical abuse. Okay. Now, I'd like to ask you a question like, do you know that lying to someone that a child is sick can be considered physical abuse? It's referred to as Munchausen by proxy syndrome, where you try to convince a person that a child is sick. That's considered child abuse. Use of drugs during pregnancy or lactation can be considered as a form of physical abuse because it leads to fetal alcohol syndrome. Also, shaking a child when the child is still young can cause some kind of head injuries, which is referred,
yes, like newborn.
Yes.
When you say shaking, you mean like you crying when a baby is crying?
And no, like there are kind of ways you like pat the child when the child is
throw them.
Yes, train the child. That can cause some kind of head injuries, which is referred to as shaking baby syndrome. Okay. So that's for physical abuse.
Shaking baby syndrome. Take note. Shaking baby, like when you shake the baby, when you throw your child, or you're crying, you are trying to put the baby to sleep, and you are shaking the child too much in the brain region. That is shaking baby syndrome.
Another form of child abuse is sexual abuse. It's a sexual act between a child and an adult, such as penetration, intercourse, oral sex, sodomy, and so on. This is referred to as sexual abuse. When you have emotional or psychological abuse, these are actions which affect a child's mental health or social development or interferes with them. And another form is neglect. This is one of the most common practice form of child abuse. Basically, some of us are kind of guilty of this neglect and we don't know it's a form of child abuse. This is like a lack of provision or access to food, shelter, clothing, education, and medical treatment to illness or some sort of things that this is considered neglect and is a form of child abuse which is being practiced in the world at large, but I don't think we all kind of aware that that's a form of child abuse.
Yeah. Some mean that some people, they abuse their children. They know not say they not abuse.
Yes.
Abuse. When picking they sick, give and drugs.
Proper medical treatment.
You don't give the child proper medical treatment. You don't hear them. Say when your pikin sef dey sick, you no treat am for hospital, better treatment, you no care for am. Na this. What of those one wey dey go work? Every day dem comot, leave their children for house. Dem dey do business, carry their pikin, throw for one place, dey no pay at ten tion. Those one too, no be am. You follow now?
Yes.
Those are one of those ones. It's not be only when you don't carry cane, flog your pikin, wey be child abuse. It means say they abuse your pikin so many ways. Wetin you go tell them? Make them stop this matter. The thing dey worry you, wetin dem go do?
Okay, so before I say what can stop this matter, there are some common causes of this child abuse. Basically, which one? History of neglect or child abuse from the parent side can cause child abuse, and physical or mental problems such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress syndrome, commonly called PTSD, lack of support, low self-esteem, shame, poor parent-child relationship. These are some common causes of child abuse in the society today. So now, how can you combat or stop this child abuse? I'll encourage proper parent-to-child relationship, because talking of the sexual abuse, there are some children that their only someone they can confide in is their parents, and when this relationship between the parents and child is not there, a child can be sexually abused and the parents won't know of it. And if you have a history of child abuse, don't let it affect your child. Why don't you talk to someone? Why don't you seek medical help? Psychologists are provided today for cases like this. Why don't you talk to someone and let the burden out, not trying to increase the numbers of child being abused today? Then lack of support. Most parents, especially single parents, here is where we get the lack of support. If there are kind of questions you should ask yourself before thinking of becoming a parent. Am I financially, physically, mentally ready to be a parent? And if your answer to these questions is no, then why create a child and increase the numbers of child being abused today when you know the support from the father figure is not going to be there? Then don't try creating a child. Then we also talk about some physical and mental problems like depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I won't blame some parents, like newly born children, the mothers sometimes go into depression, which I won't say is their fault, because it comes with pregnancy and these are some signs. So why don't you seek help at that period to avoid abusing a child? And also
Transfer aggression.
Yes. Then shame also. Shame can lead to child abuse. When I talk about shame, is the part of the where I emphasized on neglect, physical abuse. Like the neglect part is when a parent can have a child and actually be ashamed of having a child. You have a child and okay, this is your child, but you're ashamed of calling this person my child. So why create the child when there's going to be shame? And this is going to kind of lead to some child abuse. So in all, I'll say being a parent can be joyful, meaningful, but actually an overwhelming ride. You know, there are some particular situations or times your children will push you into cases where you never expected yourself to act like that. So at that moment, why don't you recognize your feelings? Bring yourself out of that situation, navigate your feelings, and basically talk to someone. There's no harm talking to someone, definitely.
Okay. My sister, you don't talk better talk on. Some people, all this thing wey they talk, we no even nothing na child abuse be that. But the good as you tell us, it means say no be only beating wey be child abuse. So many things follow inside. Abeg, na mama future dey tell you all this one. For the program, My Health and I, inside Rivers State University, College of Medical Science. And this our baby here. We don't talk plenty talk. Make it try. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mama Future, and Facebook.